Now that we understand how to power through sticking points in the bench press, let's shift our focus to another fundamental lift, the deadlift. Proper setup is absolutely critical for safe and effective deadlifting. On this slide, we're covering the essential elements of deadlift preparation. First, determine your optimal stance width and toe angle. This is your foundation. Next, select a grip that works for you. Should be slightly outside of your legs, making sure to make contact with your knees. Position your hips low enough to create tension and maintain a flat back throughout the setup. Engage your lats by pulling your shoulder blades down and back to stabilize your upper body. Then, take a deep diaphragmatic breath and brace your core as if you're preparing to take a punch. Once you're set, drive through your heels, extending your hips and knees simultaneously while keeping the bar close to your body. At the top, stand tall with shoulders back and fully extended hips, but avoid hyperextending your lower back. Finally, lower the bar by reversing the motion. Push your hips back first, then bend your knees while maintaining control. Speaking of control and precision, let's dive deeper into foot positioning, as this is truly where every great deadlift begins. Now that we've established the importance of proper setup, let's focus on one of the most critical elements, foot position. Your stance is the foundation of a strong deadlift, so we need to get this right from the start. Determining your optimal stance width and toe angle is essential. Generally, your feet should be hip width apart, with toes pointed slightly outward, and the arch or midpoint is directly below the bar, typically between 0 and 15 degrees. This positioning allows you to generate maximum power through your legs while maintaining bounce throughout the lift. Your foot position directly influences your ability to drive through the heels and engage your posterior chain effectively and safely. Grip. With your grip placement, you want to place your hands directly outside of your legs, making contact with your shins, and it will go up and make contact with your knees. A grip that is too far wide has a placement that will go ahead and put you overextended with the bar and cause a lower back to round. Moving on, we will now talk about hip position. Now that we've covered the importance of grip and how it anchors our foundation, let's move up the body and talk about hip position. Your hips are critical to generating power and maintaining stability throughout the movement. Keep your hips level and slightly forward, engaging your core to prevent excessive arching or rounding of the lower back. Think of your hips as a bridge between your upper and lower body. They must be positioned to transfer force effectively from the ground up. A proper hip position allows you to maintain tension and control, which directly supports the strength you're building from the ground up. With your hips properly positioned and stable, we can now focus on engaging your lats, which will help you maintain that crucial upper body tension we need for optimal performance. As you can see in the picture here, we have three slightly different pictures of hip positioning. The one on the far left has the hips too low, and as he initiates the movement, he will be squatting the bar. The picture on the far right shows hip position too high up, which will cause his knees to extend too quickly, thus creating a leverage point as far as his lower back is concerned. That has a risk of increased injury. The middle picture shows a proper hip position with a straight neutral spine as compared to the one on the right with a slight flexion in the upper back. Now that we've covered proper hip positioning as the foundation for stability, let's focus on actively engaging your lats to maximize strength and control. Your latissimus dorsi muscles are critical for pulling movements and spinal stability. To engage them effectively, think about pulling your shoulders down and back, creating tension throughout your entire back. This engagement should feel like you're trying to pack your shoulders into their sockets. A simple cue is to imagine squeezing an orange in your armpit. This mental image helps activate those muscles properly. When your lats are truly engaged, They work synergistically with your core to create a rigid, stable torso. This integrated tension is exactly what we'll explore next when we discuss bracing your core, the final piece that ties everything together for optimal performance. Now that we've covered how to engage your lats for a stronger foundation, let's talk about bracing your core, the final piece of preparation before your pull. Your core acts as a pressure system. Think of it like filling a balloon. You breathe air into your belly, tighten your abdominal muscles, and create intra abdominal pressure. This pressure stabilizes your spine and transfers force efficiently from your lower body to the bar. A braced core prevents your torso from collapsing forward and keeps you in the optimal position throughout the movement. Take a deep breath into your diaphragm, not your chest. Brace your abs as if you're about to take a punch. Hold this tension as you initiate the pull. This creates a rigid cylinder that protects your lower back and allows your legs to drive effectively. With your lats engaged and your core brace, you're now ready to execute the actual lift. We'll walk through the pull itself, reaching lockout at the top and controlling the descent. Now that we've established the importance of bracing your core for stability and protection, let's move into the actual execution of the lift. The deadlift consists of three critical phases. The lift itself, where you initiate the movement and drive through the floor. The top, or lockout position, where you achieve full hip and knee extension. And bringing it down, the controlled descent that completes the rep. Each phase requires precision and control to maximize power and minimize risk of injury. As we progress, we'll identify common form breakdowns you might encounter, like a rounded lower back, hips rising too fast, or the bar drifting away from your body. Now that we've covered the proper technique for executing the lift and achieving lockout, let's address the most common issues that lifters encounter during the deadlift and how to fix them. The four primary form breakdowns we see most frequently are: first, a rounded lower back, which typically stems from failing to properly brace your core before initiating the lift. Second, hips rise too quickly, indicating a lack of full body tension throughout the movement. Third, the bar drifting away from your body, which happens when you neglect to engage your lats and keep the bar close to you. And fourth, overextension at the top, where lifters lean excessively backward and hyperextend their spine. Each of these issues has direct cause and a clear fix. Let's start by diving deeper into the first problem, rounding of the lower back, because it's not only the most common issue we see, but it's also the most dangerous if left uncorrected. We've covered the importance of maintaining proper form throughout the entire lift. Now let's address one of the most common and potentially dangerous issues we see in the deadlift, rounding the lower back. A rounded lower back typically stems from one primary cause: failing to properly brace your core before initiating the lift. When your core isn't set with adequate tension, your lumbar spine loses the rigid support it needs to begin to round under load. This dramatically increases injury risk and reduces the efficiency of your pull. The fix is straightforward. Before you even touch the bar, take a deep breath into your belly, brace your abs as if you're about to take a punch, and maintain the tension throughout the entire movement. This creates an internal pressure that stabilizes your spine and keeps it in a neutral position. Remember, a strong, stable core isn't just about looking good. It's about protecting your lower back and maximizing your lifting potential. With proper bracing locked in, you'll be able to move more weight safely with better control. This brings us to our next issue: hips rising too fast, which often results from inadequate full body tension working in conjunction with improper bracing. Building on what we covered about rounding the lower back, let's address another common technical flaw: hips rising too fast. When your hips shoot up faster than your shoulders during the lift, you shift from a powerful leg driven movement into a back dominant pull. This happens because lifters compensate for weak positioning by using their posterior chain prematurely. Your hips should rise at the same rate as your shoulders to maintain the optimal hip bar relationship and keep the weight positioned correctly over your midfoot. To fix this, focus on initiating the pull with your legs first, maintaining your back angle, and accelerating through the middle position. Think of it as a coordinated movement rather than a sequential one. Now that we've covered positioning issues at the start and middle of the lift, we need to address what happens as you extend, specifically when the bar drifts away from your body, which can severely impact your pulling power and stability. Now that we've addressed the problem of hips rising too fast during the lift, let's look at another common issue that often follows: the bar drifting away from the body. When the bar loses proximity to your torso, you immediately increase the demand on your lower back and reduce the mechanical efficiency of the lift. This happens because the bar path moves forward, creating a longer moment arm and forcing your posterior chain to work much harder than intended. To keep the bar close, focus on maintaining a strong lat engagement throughout the movement. Think of pulling the bar up and back slightly, keeping it as close to your body as possible. It should almost graze your legs and torso as you ascend. Your elbows should stay slightly forward of the bar, not flared out to the sides. This proper positioning sets you up for success at the top of the lift, but we need to make sure you're not creating another problem there. Let's discuss how overextension at the top can undermine all this good work. We've seen how the bar can drift away from the body, compromising our foundation. Now let's examine what happens when we take this misalignment to the extreme, a condition we call overextension at the top. When lifters push their arms too forward or lock out too aggressively without proper core engagement, they create an unstable position where the load shifts away from our center of gravity. This overextension doesn't just feel uncomfortable. It forces our entire posterior chain to compensate, leading to excessive strain on the lower back and shoulders. The key issue is that overextension at the top breaks the vertical line we've worked so hard to establish throughout the lift. Instead of finishing strong in a stable, neutral position, we end up in a precarious state where the bar and body are no longer working as one unit. This dramatically increases injury risk and actually reduces the amount of weight we can safely control. The solution is simple. Focus on controlled lockout that keeps the bar directly over your midline, with engaged shoulders and a braced core, every single rep.